Uncultured for never wipe these tears away. Pray to God, He told me yeah, they're here to stay. People say you're strong, dog, you'll be okay. Till their family members start to pass away. Uncultured for never wipe these tears away. Pray to God, He told me yeah, they're here to stay. People say you're strong, dog, you'll be okay. Till their family members start to pass away. Hey, hey. Hey, hey. Hey, 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 hey. Uncultured for never wipe these tears away. Pray to God, He told me yeah, they're here to stay. People say you're strong, dog, you'll be okay. Till their family members start to pass away. Uncultured for never wipe these tears away. Pray to God, He told me yeah, they're here to stay. People say you're strong, dog, you'll be okay. Till their family members start to pass away. Hey, hey, yeah. Hey, hey, yeah. Watch out now. I look up to the sky like every day. Drop my tears to my knees and I sit and pray. Looking for my mama in the clouds now. Some days I stay there, can't come down. But when I sit and focus just upon her face, all the sadness in my chest, it evaporates. Now I'm reminded of the Savior grace. See my mama bringing manga up to the heaven gates. I cut you for never wipe these tears away. Pray to God, He told me yeah, they here to stay. People say you're strong, dog, you'll be okay. Till they family members start to watch out. I got you for never wipe these tears away. Pray to God, He told me yeah, they here to stay. People say you're strong, dog, you'll be okay. Till they family members start to pass away. I got you for never wipe these tears away. Pray to God, He told me yeah, they here to stay. People say you're strong, dog, you'll be okay. Till their family members start to pass away. We've been through many trials and tribulation. Family still together cause we gotta stay strong. Everybody moving just like a vehicle. Nobody above another, everybody equal. No bad mind, just try to love people. Try to love people. And when we go a heaven, mama, that are the sequel. I got you for never wipe these tears away. Pray to God, He told me yeah, they're here to stay. People say you're strong, dog, you'll be okay. Till their family members start to pass away. I look up to the clouds like every day. Drop my tears to my knees and I sit and pray. Looking for my mama in the clouds now. Some days I stay there, can't come down. But when I sit and focus just upon her face, all the sadness in my chest, it evaporates. Now I'm reminded of the Savior grace. See my mama bringing manga up to the heaven gate.
Yo. Y'all, welcome to the show, man. Welcome to another episode of You Already Successful. You, yes, you, right now. This is a special, very special episode for a couple different reasons. So this episode is going to drop on Mother's Day, which is also my mom's birthday and was my mom's birthday, May 8th. Those that know me know, you know, how close I was to my mom, how much she meant to our family. You know, so this is a special episode. Also, to go with the episode and to make it even more special, I have my brother on the show with me. Some of his accomplishments, you know, y'all, those that know him know already. Those that don't, some of his accomplishments are he's a spoken word artist. Album out now. You know, we just heard the track off of there. If you have the album, you know the song. If you don't know the song or have the album, go cop that. Owner and founder of Pure Poetry. Host of Pure, Bus Boys, a ton of other events all over the country. You know, he's appeared on Fox News, was there with you, with him on that. Spoke in front of the White House during Obama's term. Spoken, all over the place. Also did some gigs and worked with NBA teams, multiple NBA teams, including the most recent is the Washington Wizards. He wrote a poem for them for MLK Day that was real cool. It was aired in the stadium and also on TV. But that's just to name a few, really. I'm talking about my big brother, OTP, aka Orville, aka O, aka Junior.
Don't call me Junior.
Welcome to the show, man.
Yo, Wagwan.
Welcome to the show, man.
Man, I'm loving the show, bro. I haven't checked out the latest one yet. I checked out like 5 minutes of it, but I'm loving the consistent effort you're putting in, man. And this is a message we all need. You're already successful.
Facts, man. Thanks for your support, and it's about time we get you on the show, but get you on in this way. I think for this episode, dropping when it drops is special. So, just to there's a lot that I just touched on, right, about your accomplishments. Yeah. Anything come to mind that I missed? I know I missed a lot, but like anything stand out?
So let me see. So the White House gig, right? The White House gig. The first time I was there, we were outside on the lawn. But then the next time I was there, I was inside the White House. And it's important to note that it was Obama's last term.
You wasn't there with Trump.
I wasn't there with I wasn't there with Cuz. I was there with Big Dog. And shout out to Christoph Jenkins from The Poet Life.
Shout out.
I was there with him doing that work. So some other ones, man. It's been a lot. It's been a blur this past couple years. I feel like the pandemic was like one long month.
Right.
But the partnership with the Wizards, the collab with the Wizards was really cool. It was really cool to have Dad there courtside too. Like he was like, "Yo, I can see the players."
Right.
Yeah. So that was really cool. And then on the Jumbotron. There's some other stuff, but
we probably get to some of them too, just naturally. So no need to call them all out. But I mean, there's a literally because we known each. I've known you all my life. There's so much that we could talk about that we can't fit into one episode.
Facts.
So we're gonna have to have more in the future. But just for starters, like, who is OTP? Who is Orville?
Orville, I used to say that Orville and OTP is the same person. Now that I'm this far in my journey, maybe they're a little different. Orville the Poet is, at the drop of a hat, ready to give you a poem, ready to host a show, ready to, drop some knowledge and ready to be in front of the crowds and do what's necessary. I feel like Orville is a little bit of that as well, but I'm a lot more reserved than people think. You know what I mean? Because of the nature of what I do, where I'm always in front of people a lot. A lot of people think that, I'm like that hype and yay, rah, rah, like when I'm not doing poetry and when I'm not hosting a show. But more times, if I'm not doing that, I'm in the cut. I'm chilling. You know what I mean? So Orville is a lot more calm and chill than I say Orville the Poet is. A lot more reserved. That may be, there's some other differences and similarities, but I'd say that's a big one that a lot of people don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to differentiate, right? Because everybody knows OTP, but before OTP is Orville.
Yeah, always, and after OTP is gonna be Orville.
Right. So like OTP as a poet, and there's a lot that you do, a lot. but it's all stemmed off of you being a poet.
Yeah.
How did you get into poetry?
Man, so I remember when we were like, well, I was like just turning a teenager, maybe a little after that, something like that. And we were going to our grandaunt, Aunt Tiny. We were going to Aunt Tiny's retirement. And Mom was like, y'all should do something for her. And I was like, what? Like, we ain't about to sing. You know what I mean? And she was like, I don't know, write a poem or something. And it was like, oh, okay. All right, cool. And I took a sheet of paper, and I don't know if you remember that, but you still like probably playing with Ghostbusters in the car or something. I don't know. But I took a piece of paper in the car and wrote on it front and back a poem. And then we got there, and I shared the poem. And that was my first time writing or sharing a poem. And Mom was like, everybody was coming to Mom like, yo, Lorna, that was well written. Good job. And she was like, nah, he wrote that in the car.
Yeah.
And they was like, wow. Oh, okay.
Where you was naturally always just smart and good with, reading, writing, and all of that stuff. Like, the crazy thing is, people that don't know would think like that you went off and, you went to school and did all of that. And literally, you were just naturally that way.
Yeah.
And I think like, it just came natural to you. But I think too, it was probably surprising somewhat to Mom, but then not really, as we learned it, like
exactly.
She did poetry.
Because she was a poet too.
And Dad did some writing and stuff too.
Man, I was like, dude, when were you going to share this? Man, remember we were looking through the picture album, right. And that's when we found out Mom wrote poetry. Right. A poem for my boys. I was like, what?
Right.
Hold up. You ain't never told me that.
Right.
Yeah,
I think that's part of like a cultural thing too. Like, so our mom is Jamaican born. Our mom and dad born in Jamaica. Came over when they were teens, and I think I don't know. It might be a part of cultural and also like the dynamic.
It was their upbringing because our parents always wanted the best for us, and their parents didn't see the arts as a profession. You know what I mean? So I know that Dad specifically was heavy into music. Mm-hmm. Like Granddad basically like almost gave him the company. He was like, yo, I want to do music. And so Dad pivoted into music, but then he had kids. You know what I mean? So right. he went back to the construction, working with his hands and stuff, which he's amazing at. But his passion was always for music.
Yeah.
And at that time, growing up, especially Caribbean, they didn't see that as a profession. You know what I mean? You better go with something short. You better learn a trade. You know what I mean? So
right. But I mean, even the open up to share, I think like that mushy stuff wasn't just because it was like, a poem to a boy. For them and Mom and Dad, it's easier to write that than it is for them to say it. I don't know about like, I think the first time Dad said like something that was like to the effect of "I love you" or something was like, I was probably like 25.
Right. It was it was further into our adolescence.
Like as he gets older, he's getting like more. And it was like, what? Yeah. What'd you just tell me? But
it was like, what?
But I think just just how it was in their upbringing and their culture, it just wasn't like natural to be like, let me share with you something that's kind of touch. Even
personal
with grandma,
or intimate. Yeah.
Even with her mom, it's kind of like hard for her. I'd be like, all right, grandma, I love you. She'd be like, yeah. I'm like, you love me back? I love you, and it don't even sound or feel right. I'm like, all right, don't say it. You ain't gotta say it.
They just had to be gangsters growing up, man. Because I mean, when they got up here, it was just get money or you go to the wayside. So I think a lot of that, they suppressed a lot of verbal affection.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And you got a roof over your head,
right?
You got. What you need, you're good.
Even besides the money, though, like, we know stories and we would hear stories coming from Jamaica in your teens and then being inserted to America culture. Now, this isn't like the America now where everybody want to willy bounce and
everybody want to be Jamaican.
And everybody want to be Jamaican. This is like when they would get
it wasn't
made
cool.
fun of, like they would get into fights because they weren't from here and all kinds of stuff. So like dealing with that, I think, you know, they already came from, you know, a tough environment, and then having to be inserted in that, they had to be even more tough and focused.
Yeah.
And I think that focus actually benefited them and us and kind of what we saw and see growing up. And so like that, you know, I think that just like we putting it in front of us, it helped develop us in a way that others that didn't really have those challenges develop. Now, on the other hand, like, again, we didn't get the extra mushy stuff either because of that.
Yeah.
So it was like, you know, on one hand, we you know, we could have probably got a little bit more one way, but then on the other hand, the benefits that we got were extraordinary also.
Yeah. So, we just saw them, you know, working, grinding, going to get it.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people ask where, you know, man, you just always going and doing and don't you be? I'm like, man, you know, my mother and father is.
Right.
We grew up watching them go get it. No complaints. Man, dad would wake up 4 or 5 in the morning and won't come back till maybe 10, working all day, all night. Mom, same thing. Mom get up, and then on top of that, cooking breakfast and checking homework, and then she got homework, and boom, just five. So, you know, when people see me like, oh, you're doing a lot. How do you do? I'm like, bro, this is all I know.
And I'll break that down even further. So mom would work round the clock.
Absolutely.
Like she would work her job, her day job to death, like all the way around the clock.
All the way.
And then she'll be cooking and providing and stuff for us. Dad will work. Like when he works and he gets involved in building something, like he's extraordinary with his craft.
All in.
It's crazy. He plays hard though. Too.
Yeah, that's I learned that from
be
Dad.
running into him in the night in the lounge. I'm like, hold up, bro. Stop. And people,
you wanna get this?
Yeah, my friends be hitting me up. Yeah, I saw your dad, and it's like, but you know what I'm saying? He was well balanced, and he is balanced in that way that he works hard.
Yeah,
but he also enjoys
too.
You know the work that he's doing. I think you know there's some value in that as well.
Absolutely,
in that balance. So back to your music though. So you got started because mom essentially was like, try something.
Yeah,
and you know, she was surprised, but I don't think she was because she did it naturally. I think she might have been surprised about how well you took to it, but for her to just throw out try poetry,
I feel like she knew kind of what she was doing a little bit.
She wanted to see.
Yeah, she wanted to see, like, all right, let me see. I do this, you know what I mean? I ain't telling him I do this, but let me see. Yeah. Let me see if he do this. And so from there, you know, I'd write more. You know what I mean? Yeah. I just wrote more. And then, you know, around that time, you know, a lot of things were happening in our lives. It was a lot of transition at that time. You know what I mean? That's when, you know what I mean, Dad moved away. That's right before I started high school. And so that was a rough time for me, man, because, you know, I'm the oldest, and I'm like, man, I need you to show me some stuff. But he wasn't right there. So then I got you and Ian looking at me. So I'm like, man, all right, I got to just figure it out. You know what I mean? So high school was rough, and I really leaned on my art to you know, capture those emotions I couldn't really share on a regular basis in my art, especially, you know, growing up and going to school or living in Sea Pleasant. Man, I saw a lot of things. You saw a lot of things that probably no one should ever see.
Wasn't all pleasant. Sea Pleasant.
Boy. Yeah. But, you know, so I used the art to really channel those emotions and that, you know, what was going on at that time.
that's a good segue into something else that I want to ask. Like when you writing your music, like we just heard, Handkerchief, which we're gonna revisit in a second, but like it feels different. Like, and for me, listening to your music, Handkerchief is one of my favorite songs that you've written.
Yeah,
and it's close because you're close, and I see a lot of the situations that you're talking about and speaking about. I know it a little bit closer, and so it feels different, right? And where do you write? How do you come up with your music in general?
So in general, I'll have
therapeutic.
It's twofold. It's therapeutic, and it's like, okay, I really want to say this, and I learned early on that, well, especially with music, that you better mean it. You know what I mean? So nothing is, faking the funk or just kind of haphazardly. Like, it's all very intentional. Now, Handkerchief, man, I wrote that in like 30 minutes.
How long does it normally take you to write?
It depends.
Why was that one so quick?
That one was so quick because it was absolutely how I felt in the moment. It was fresh. And I just really wanted to get it out. I really, really wanted to get it out. And honestly, I don't think I've ever said this, but the Soul of a Man album, which is on Titles, Spotify, iTunes, all of that, wherever you stream music. Cop that. So that track Handkerchief, and the album, I wrote specifically for our family. Right? I said, if this is something that my family can be proud of and listen to and get something from, then I'm good with that. It's not until later in production in the album where it was like, all right, well, yo, you're an artist, so yes, your family, absolutely you want them to get something from it, but you also want the masses to get something from it too. So we, added some things, and the track list and all of that came into play. But Handkerchief was, absolutely how I felt from a lot of people that loved us but didn't understand actually what's going on. So like the chorus is, a handkerchief will never wipe these tears away. I pray to God, he told me, yeah, they're here to stay. And people say you strong. Yeah, you be okay until they family members start to pass away. So what we often do a lot, specifically in the Black community, is, hey, be strong, dog. When me telling you I'm not okay is me being strong. And it was such a rush of emotion that I really didn't know how to deal with at first. It was like, yo, I'm telling these people I'm not, like, this is forever. It's always gonna hurt. Like, this hurts. Man, hold your head, bro. What? Like, I can't, I don't know how to I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And so
to that point though, I feel like if you write music or songs or you spoken word or you're creative of any kind, podcast or whatever it is, like, you should speak from your truth.
Absolutely.
And I think you do that well. And I think when you're doing that, right, nobody can't tell you that you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? This is how
Facts.
you felt. And then when you actually speak up and put it out there, it's crazy how much people actually need what you give because it's authentic. It's not, it's not like, what you got to solve over there? Let me try to solve your problem with this. It's like, here's what's solving my problem right now.
Facts.
And then that stuff be so relatable because it's real. And I think like that's what makes that song and a lot of the material that you write powerful, because I know it and I see it. And it's a really cool thing. Even if it's like, I mean, I've seen different forms of it from you, from my perspective, that other people may not even see or know, where you're giving your real impression of it, regardless. That's one size fits all for everything. Mm-hmm. And then you have another layer where it's like you've been through it, personal experience, or it's in your circle and you see it, and you're giving a voice to a group in a way that may not maybe looked at or thought of differently. Yeah, you're speaking from it, from their angle, and then real transparent too. So I know you put some of your struggles in there. So it's almost like advice to you and sharing accomplishments that you've been through, all intertwined in it, which is like dope. And it's a different level of dope, right? Because the average person that's listening is like, oh yeah, that's real. Because they can relate to it depending on what angle you taking or where they coming from. Mm-hmm. But for me, understanding, that deeper level nuances is like, wow, that's it. It sounds different. It feels different for me. So, and again, Handkerchief is one of them songs. I think, Mom, in order to understand better Handkerchief, like you got to understand who our mom was.
So, and I'm gonna break that down too, right? So, in the first verse, it's like, I see my mom bringing mango up to heaven gates. So mangoes are our mom's favorite food, yo. Like mom would eat mangoes. If we went to Florida, she had to get a box of mangoes. If we went to Jamaica, she was in the tree picking mangoes. Like there's stories of her as a kid, teenager, like winning hella trophies and races, like climbing trees and getting coconuts and mangoes. Like she loved mangoes. We thought she was going to turn into a mango. Like
I don't know if she won any tree climbing awards, but to your point, she was definitely. She was. I remember stories where she would be like, she would eat like 8 mangoes, and she'll be sick, and then she'll still wake up the next day
another one
and eat more mangoes. It was like she loved mangoes, but yeah, to your point about that being inserted in the song, I think that actually goes with what I was just talking about. It's deeper stuff. Like it's stuff that might sound cool to y'all. It's like, oh yeah, that was dope. But like when it's a different layer. And I like the fact that you throw that stuff in there, not because everybody knows. Yeah. It's like for you. So in that way, you're voicing the truth that somebody else might not even get, like mango at the heaven gates, and overlook that line. Mm-hmm. But it's like, this ain't for you. And you saying that you wrote it in that time so quick, like this was your medicine that you were writing.
Absolutely.
That was documented that you put out there, which again is something that I pick up that the average person would miss. But yeah, in order to understand and really get that song, our mom, she was just so special, man. She was one of a kind, man. She, I think you heard us say that she came up from Jamaica in her teens. She figured it out. I mean, first generation, the stuff that she obtained and accomplished. So she lived a shorter life. She was 51, but she lived a full life.
Facts.
Probably 2 lives of a normal person and what she was able to accomplish and do. And we got to see that close up and the intricacies to that too, right? Not like the high level where it's like, oh, progressing. And it's like with every, person that's progressing, there is some challenges that go along with that. Some real challenges. Absolutely. It's not just what it looks like, right? And I think with us being in the same house and seeing it, I mean, blood, sweat, and tears. People say that, but like some real blood, sweat, and tears into that, and still moving the ball forward despite it all. Yeah. It all. She was just amazing, man. She's, She literally affected everyone that she encountered. So that was like, she was a difference maker in our home for our entire family. They call her the glue.
Yeah. Even our friends. She gave a big circle of our friends, like circle of influence of friends, careers. She started them in their careers.
And groomed them to get started, and her friends, her co-workers,
her colleagues,
her church, you know, everywhere that she went, she was the glue.
Yeah.
I mean, we for the funeral, it was a huge building, and that place was flooded out. Like, we didn't have enough seats
packed
in there. But yeah, she was just a wonderful, amazing person, and when you understand who she was, when you lose somebody like that, that's a hit.
Yeah.
And that'll shake anybody. Like, it shook people that weren't as close as we are.
Yeah.
I think knowing her toughness and understanding it kind of helped push us and keep us, as well as God. But like, where were you? And this is a conversation that we never had.
Yeah.
That we're having for the first time on
this
episode.
is good. This is good though.
So we're gonna get a little bit deep and try to keep the thing going. But where were you in that place?
When it happened?
Yeah, when mom. When it happened.
I remember
whatever place.
Yeah, I remember. Man, and this is something that I still struggle with, because, man. So all right, so I was at work, and I was there 2 nights prior at the hospital with mom, and she was like, "Don't you got a show?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got a show, but you know." And she was like, "No, you gotta do your show." And I was like, "Man, all right, but I'm gonna be back," you know. And so it was 2 days later. I was like, "Bet, I'm gonna go to work, and then do the show, and then check on mom after the show." And you called me, I think it was like midday or early, like almost, it was either late morning or like midday, and was like, "Yo, get here now." And like, I heard your voice, and I already knew what time it was. And I remember like looking at my manager like, "Yo, I gotta be out. I gotta go." And on the way, like getting out the office, like I lost all control of my legs. Like I just fell down.
What did I say? Like, what did I say specifically?
You said, "Yo." I said, "Yo, bro, what's good?" And he said, "Yo, get here now." Like, that's what you you know, you're always very careful because, you know, I'm at work and what I'm doing and whatnot. And but in this day, you was like, "Yo, bro, get here now." I was like, what's going on? "Yo, get here now." You just kept saying that. And I was like, all right, okay. And then so my legs, boom, give way. And I remember it was only one woman, one person, and I still say what's up to her to this day, one person who even gave a damn. And because they knew what time it was, they knew what was going on. And she helped me up. And I got outside, and I just remember like just tears just coming out my eyes. And I hopped in the car, and only God took me to the hospital. Because when I tell you I jumped in the car and pushed the car to as fast as it could go the entire time, that's exactly what I did. I didn't stop at lights. I was just, that's all I was doing. So, man, my mind was just racing. I was just like, "Yo, I have to get there beforehand. I have to get there. I have to get there because I told her I was coming to check for her. I have to get there." And then I got there, and she had already taken her last breath. So that still eats me up.
And I'm gonna go through and give like a recap overview too on my end. But you know, how did you get through, and how do you get through, right? Because this is a ongoing.
A lot of prayer, and just remembering who she was and what she wanted us to be on. You know what I mean? My mom, man, she grew us up to be men, and men handle their business, and men make sure. She would always say, "Yo, time don't stop for nobody." You know what I mean? So make sure whatever's going on, you make sure you handle your business. I remember even visiting with her in the hospital, and she would be like, "Yo, hey, make sure you're handling your business, though." So how I get through, man, honestly, is a lot of prayer and just that will that, you know, we got to keep moving. Life don't stop.
Facts. Yeah, man. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about how I've been getting through too. But just to recap it, I literally fast forward. I'm rewinding all the way back to, I think it was the Friday, which was her birthday.
Yeah,
I was at the house, her and grandma, and I was washing my car. I mean, life was sweet. I mean, we were just out there, and it was warm, and
Mother's Day.
Now it's not even Mother's Day yet. So this is her birthday, and on that year it fell like 2 days before.
Oh, okay.
So we was washing the car. I was washing the car, and they were watching me and just joking and all that stuff. And then fast forward to that Sunday, which was Mother's Day. Mm-hmm. She was making brunch. She's making Mother's Day brunch, for the family. So I remember coming here and pulling up, and then seeing an ambulance outside, and I was like, "What's the ambulance?" Thinking like maybe it's for another neighbor or something. And then I remember her coming outside on a stretcher in her black dress, just screaming at the top of her lungs, and I knew something was up.
Yeah.
And she was just uncontrollably screaming. So I hopped in the ambulance and went.
I follow right behind y'all.
Yeah, and we got there, and ultimately what had happened was her appendix had ruptured. And, anybody that knows anything about that knows that, for it to rupture
painful
is incredibly painful. So anyway, appendix ruptured. Fast forward a little bit more, she was actually doing better.
When Ian graduated,
the doctor was like, "Yeah, you know what? You should probably still get checked up. Even though you're doing a little bit better, we'll manage and monitor you, because your appendix don't just rupture. It doesn't just rupture for any reason." So we went to Ian's graduation in California. Shout out to my little brother, Ian Walker. He was on episode 3.
Yeah,
check that out.
I know.
So we all went there, had a ball. Come back, go to a doctor's appointment. So I work, in healthcare too. So naturally I was like, running point for her appointments and all that stuff. So I would go with her. And went into the doctor's office, sunny day, feeling good, not even thinking nothing of it, get called to the back. And I'm sitting next to her, and the doctor's like, She's like excited to tell the doctor, "Yeah, I'm doing better. I just came back from," and the doctor's like, "It's cancer, and you have about 4 or 5 months left." Bro, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. That was probably the most traumatic experience that I've ever had. For twofold. One, I couldn't process what he was saying. He said it, but I couldn't process it. It just I couldn't process it. Two, you know how strong, we just talked about how strong mom is. She's always the one holding up for people. She broke down next to me, broke down. And I was trying to hold it and keep it together. Like I'm gonna try to do it now. But that jump, it was just something crazy, man, how much she was breaking down, knowing how strong she is. It's normally the other way.
Yeah.
And then then it started to settle in, and it just got foggy and hazy. I remember leaving and walking out of there, and I called Auntie Debbie, and just let her know. She had a moment too. And then we came home. I mean, it wasn't.
Man,
normally when something happens, right?
Yeah.
With her, with us, with me, how my mind processes stuff is like, all right, problem. I'm already thinking about solutions.
Yeah.
I'm already off to it, to, almost to a fault, right? People that know me almost sometimes hate it because it's like, bro, let me just vent for a second. I want to think about a solution, and I couldn't do anything. I talked to the doctor. I'm like, are you sure? Like, she's doing better? They're like, I'm sorry. I'm like, but hold up. You just said like she got months to live. Like, it's 2015. Like, treatment, keep something. He's like, I'm sorry. The type it is and where it is, stage 4 pancreatic cancer, is there's no cure for it. The most they could do is make her comfortable. It literally knocked the wind out of my life.
Yeah.
I couldn't even, after that, it was tough to just breathe
do
straight.
Anything.
So I tried to keep it together as much as I could for mom. And I know she saw me hurting too. We get back home, we share the news with everybody. Everybody, like people in our family that we never even felt any kind of emotion from, was wailing.
Yeah.
And it was that was like a different level of trauma as well, like the next level. But that day stood out, and it still is in my mind. So fast forward a little bit. I was working a lot during that time, right? So I was going to work and then going to her doctor's visits, with us, and we take turns. But I'd be there and, stay overnight, sleep with her. Yeah. Even though I wasn't supposed to, I put the chairs up next to each other, those little hard chairs, and make a bed out of it. If somebody come by, I act like I was, just visiting or something.
Yeah. But
those were some of the toughest and best times also. Just seeing her in that state was super tough for her too. Because as independent she is.
Yeah.
So it got to a point where, like, what's the phrase that people say, like, the selfish part of our love wants to hold on to people.
Yeah.
Where I feel like where she was, how independent we used to seeing her, it was
Facts.
painful for her.
Facts.
To have us pick her up and put her to the bathroom, and it just was torture for her. So, like, it was tough in those moments and in those states. And I remember the conversation that you said, like, when you and Ian, y'all would come in too. And she would be like, I would be like, Mom, we all gonna be here. We're gonna stay. She would tell me what she told you.
Yeah.
Let them go. And she would have those side conversations that, that she had with you that I didn't know about. And I'm sure with Ian. But like, she backed me off, and that's just how she was. She was protective of all of us.
Yeah.
Like, she knew how I was.
Yeah.
And I think she knew something. What I later learned was that everybody needs what they need.
Yeah.
When they're faced with a tough situation. A lot of times we think about it selfishly, and that's where I was, to be 100% honest.
Yeah.
I was upset. I was angry. I was tired and irritable, right? So I wasn't even in my right mind. And with a situation like that, you want to be mad at somebody, but there's not somebody or something to be mad at.
Yeah.
Right? So then you start naturally, I was extra, sensitive and on edge at that time. But again, she being her would be like, no, you do this, you chill. And she set all of us straight in the way that, she always did growing up. I gotta say too, I remember, man, when we was in the hospital, I called her job, and I was like, yeah, I didn't tell them the full situation. I told them that she's in the hospital. So, to their credit, they didn't know the whole situation. But I was like, yeah, she's gonna be out, because we're in the hospital. And first thing they said, her boss at that time, no longer there, was it wasn't a good time for them. It wasn't a good time. And that still was in my mind, because I couldn't believe what I heard. So I hung up the phone. I didn't even tell her, because she was at the point where she didn't want any stress, or she wasn't tripping about nothing. But for her for the job's response to be that, when I'm like, I seen her work to death for this job, right? And she dedicated her life to it.
A good part of her life to this job.
And for them to say it's not a good time. So, I think one of the lessons in that, there's several lessons, and it's too many for this one episode, but a lot of times we spend our times and our days working to death for a job that's going to move on anyway.
That don't give two craps about you.
And they might care about you while you're benefiting them. So I'm not even going to say as far as they don't care about you, but like they care about their bottom line and the business needs more than yours. So like if you are working, finesse it. She finessed it too, right?
Yeah.
So she worked and she made and did a lot. You know what I mean?
Made it work for her.
Yep, she made it work for her. You got to do both. I think she overworked, and that's some of what she told me. She overworked, and that's something that she wished she did less of. Because at the end of the day, after her funeral, everybody came, packed it out. Everybody moved on.
Yeah.
The job moved on. They filled it with somebody else. In fact, I remember I had got a promotion, right? So I got a call. And I didn't have her. I still had her work number in the phone.
Yeah.
And it said mom's calling. And I was like, what the? So it didn't register. And then I answered it. And then it was the person that replaced. So my mom, one of her jobs was she worked in HR. So she would hire people and stuff like that. So whoever her replacement was calling me.
Yeah.
But I didn't get to change it. Really changed it quickly after that. But
yeah.
But yeah, man, we got to prioritize the right stuff. Part of what she was telling me, there's a book too that's called the 5 Regrets from the Dying, something like that. Definitely check it out.
Yeah, the 5 biggest regrets from the dying.
5 biggest regrets from the dying. It was written by nurses, hospice nurses. Anybody that knows hospice knows already what that is. That's end of life, essentially. Them making you comfortable until end of life. Mm-hmm. Also, never forget the time when a nurse brought that up to us on our group call. And a lot of people that isn't, on the call in healthcare didn't know what that is. And it sounded like a good thing. Like, oh, yeah, we're going to make her more comfortable. And everybody's like, okay, we're good with that plan. As soon as I heard hospice, man, I lost it. Because I knew what that then meant. And, your song says, people say you're strong, you're going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
Just to, underscore that. People would tell me that all of the time, and it would frustrate me.
It really upset me.
They wouldn't see that I'm on the ground in the office at work, crying my eyes out, or at home, ducking even my own family and those closest to me. And they don't see that. And that's why it's important that we kind of talk about that side.
Yeah.
Because if you're going through some stuff, that's natural. That's normal.
Go through it.
You got to do it. Because if you don't, you're gonna have a worse time and be. I didn't think, even with all of that, I didn't think I was gonna make it. I thought I was gonna die, man. I ain't gonna fake. I thought I wasn't gonna make it. I thought that was it. But God kept us together, man.
Man, I really, and I'm gonna let these tears come if they come, because grief is the final stage of love, and this is what happens when you really love somebody. Man, there was a time where I feel you, bro. Like, I thought I was just my heart was gonna stop because it hurt so much. It was like, what you mean she not here? What do you mean? And this is why, I had to really, and thank God for family and good friends, man. Like, I was just going into a stupor. I couldn't focus on anything. Before she passed, I was at work, not focusing on work. Like, okay, how can I'm looking up soursop juice and whatever, preventative, just everything. I'm looking on Google and doctor this and that and going nuts. I can't focus on nothing. The only thing I could still focus on was the art. And that's when I started writing crazy, because that was the only thing that made me feel a little bit sane, a little bit. But I mean, every day in the bathroom at work, crying my eyes out, to as soon as I get off work, just drinking and smoking till I fell asleep, and then waking up and doing it again until I fell asleep. Man, it got so bad that I damn near lost my job. They was like, yo, we don't know when you're gonna come in. I was like, bro, I told you, my mom is dying. So I can't tell you. And we have doctor's appointments and things. So, man, I feel you, bro. I remember I remember honestly being in the car, and this is maybe a couple days after Mom had passed. I remember being in the car like, yo, it stopped hurting if I just let go of the wheel. Like it stopped hurting. Like it hurt so much, I didn't want to be here no more.
Yeah, man.
And that's why I'm telling you, like, I just thank God for the friends, for you, for Ian, for our aunts, for our friends, man, that just really like camped and gathered around us, man, because mental health is something that, you know, it changes. And just like, you know, your physical health you have to work on, your mental health is something you have to work on and be productive at as well. You know, and you know, there's no destination here. It's always gonna hurt.
Nice.
It's a journey. But, you know, we wake up and we choose to honor her memory by continuing to live hard. Why? Because one, she can't, you know what I mean? But she can still live on through us.
Thanks.
You know what I mean? So I wholeheartedly feel you, bro. Man.
You saying some of that though, something I always wanted too, which is a bar, right? If this is what you meant. In that Handkerchief song, right? You talked about just how much you were smoking at the time until you would fall asleep. When you say, looking at my mama in the clouds now,
Looking to my mama in the clouds now. Someday I stay there, can't come down.
He's talking about how high you are.
Facts.
Yeah. So I caught that too, and I remember that time too. And I think too, like what Mom knew was what we needed. Again, I was too in it and messed up and filled with rage and all kinds of other emotions that I couldn't see it. But what she knew is that she had to set all of us straight on our own paths. Like, Ian, you go do
XYZ.
Junior, you go do. She knew that what the therapy was for us, that we needed, that sustained us even as, you know, it happened and now, was that we needed to be in our space to give us what we need.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something worth talking about, because I think, like, even though we lost the same person, right? She was our mom. We all are three different people.
It affected us all. Like, how we dealt with it was different.
But just in general, like, I think we're just naturally different, very different. Me, you, Ian, we're like completely, we're not completely. We're different in a lot of unique ways that makes us all strong together. But we lost one person, and your way of getting through was very different from mine and different from Ian's.
Yeah.
So, like, you are very transparent and have always been, as far as like putting it out there, whether it's social media or whether it's recording, in a way that I've learned that, like, wow, this is the right thing because it gives the medicine to people that need it. I was reserved and quiet. I didn't want to talk about it at all. I couldn't talk about it for a couple of years. For me, any good memory, I had to almost block her out completely. Any good memories hurt too bad. Bad memories hurt real bad. So it was just like, for me to get through, I couldn't really think about it at all. And it was kind of unfortunate, and I kind of checked myself years later that I can't, like, not remember her.
Yeah.
But I'm at a place now where we can have the conversation without me stopping or, you know, breaking down or anything like that. So I think that's progress, but essentially, like, we had to do it our way, in the way that we needed.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of one of the messages, is that sometimes when people lose somebody, like, you feel like you got to say something. Sometimes you don't need to say nothing. Sometimes you just need to shut up, to be real.
Just be there.
Feel out the situation, right? Because if you know the person, then you kind of have more insight to how to best approach that person, what they need at that time.
Yeah.
If you don't know the person, don't come up saying stuff like, it's going to be okay, or, yeah, you're good. Or, I mean, for me, those were triggers. So, like, some of the Handkerchief song, it, like, reminds me of those triggers where I'm like, yo, you know, what makes it more real for me too, because I'm like, people say something until they go something. So
until
people say you're strong, you're gonna be okay, until they're.
It's like, how you feeling? You feel strong? Keep your head, dog. You see how you don't want to hear that shit either? I didn't want to hear it either. And this was like a message to friends and family, people that we know love us, but like, hey, a handkerchief will never wipe these tears away. I pray to God, he said, yeah, they here to stay. And you keep saying I'm strong, but I'm not.
Facts.
And this is me letting you know I'm not that strong. So,
and there's strength in that, and letting people know that I'm not strong. And I think that's kind of the extra message is like, if you feel, like anything that we just described because you lost somebody, then you can relate and if you can't really relate, then just tread softly. Like, I get that people meant well. They weren't trying to intentionally be.
Not
so like
at all.
The maturity, once I got out of it and got some sleep and kind of like things settled slightly, I was able to see it better. But well, in it, man, that stuff is raw. Like,
it's
people
toxic.
coming up to me talking. It was just like, I know you mean well, but like I wasn't.
I'll never forget. A lady said, "Man, tell me the best 3 characteristics about your mom." I was like, if you don't get away from me,
if you don't know any characteristics about her,
shut up, stop talking, yo.
Yeah, man.
So sometimes just be there.
Just be there.
Just be present. You don't always have to say something.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Like Common said, knowing that I'm weak is when I'm really being strong, right? So if this is someone you love, someone you rocking with that has lost someone, just be present.
Just be present.
Just hey, did you eat today? I'm gonna drop some food off.
Facts.
Hey, here's some fruit, some water.
Facts.
Hey, just thought about you today. You know what I mean? You don't have to, hey, be strong. Hey, all of those things are insulting and infuriating and just remind you of your loss. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if you're listening, like, and you got a friend that's experienced loss, like a loss like your mom or dad, or someone super close to you, like, don't do those things.
Yeah, man. I think I heard somebody has said, helping hands are more holy than praying lips, something like that. So like, there's people that say stuff, but it's like, shout out to the people that actually was there physically, that would give us the meals, that would bring us, like, sometimes that presence, the people, just being for me, there. What I needed is the people that was around me just showed up. They ain't text me or say a word in passing. Because for me, all of that stuff felt fake. Yep. One, people that's telling it to me, I'm like, you ain't never lost. Like, even relatives, to be honest, like relatives that still have their mom and dads living, I'm like,
man, I know how you feel. I'm like,
what? You tell me, like, my mom's half the age of yours. So it was like one of those things where it was triggering, and I was triggered. One, because, in fairness to them, I wasn't all the way there. But then two, it was just some of the stuff that we say that I used to say. So I was guilty of it too.
Yeah.
You lose somebody, you just feel like you got to say something. No, just be there. Give them what they need and figure out what they need. Don't just put words in the air, because that stuff could have a very negative impact.
Yeah.
And then when you go through something similar, then right? And we had to do it. I had to do it. Like, I was guilty, like I said, of it too, until I went through it. Then I'm like, wow, I really had to think about it differently. And also realize that even with mom, we are all handled it differently. And just brother. But she also was a sibling.
Right? She also had sisters and brothers.
Sisters and brothers. It all affected them differently. She had coworkers, colleagues, church members. So like, one life affects so many different people differently, that it's not a one size fits all. You really got to kind of tread softly when approaching those different groups and people that were affected, but also understanding, like, the more mature me could say, at that point, when everybody is on, like, we were all on edge and having the same thoughts, it sounds like, at the end of the day, it's about getting through.
Yep.
So what you need to do to get through, do it. What I need to do is different.
It's different.
The same person, but we got to do different stuff to get through. And it's important for me to be okay with you getting through in your way. Mm-hmm. Because if I want you to get through in my way and you don't get through because it was convenient and good for me, what good was that? So that's kind of like what I learned after it, is like, man, we all are trying to get through So I need to support and see it from that lens and not from a selfish lens. Because a lot of times we see it as selfishly, like, this is what I need. How come we're, you know what I'm saying? And it's selfish. And at the end of the day, you know, those close to us and those that we love, you know, we want them to get through the same way we want to get through.
Yeah.
And they need to do it in their version.
Yep. There was I remember, so like how you said, specifically in our own ways, right? And that's why Mom left those specific notes. One for you, one for Ian, one for me. And they all said different things. But it's what we needed to hear. And man, again, I just want to emphasize our mom was so special, man. Like, she left notes in her phone that said, hey, if you're reading this, I didn't make it on this side of time. But here's what I need you to know. Like, had the presence of mind to do that, you know? So, just shout out to moms, man.
She would overthink too. She had everything mapped out. And I think that's kind of like where we get it from.
Absolutely.
And I'm like the next level with that. I like overmap too much where it's like, all right, all of what you planned for, prepare for ain't even gonna happen. And then
she had like alternates to it. All right, if it don't happen to
right. She had alternates to alternates. And you know, like she did write us something that she had in her phone. And I think that it was tough then to see it and read it. Yeah. But then it was comforting a little bit later to be like, she was good.
I think on those words a lot more these days. Like, wow, you know what? If she was faced with this and still had the presence of mind and the goal to, okay, all right, that's coming from me, but all right, I need to make sure my boys is prepared. All right, they need this. You know what I mean? If I can get a little bit of that, if I could tap into a smidgen of that, if all of us can tap into a smidgen, we'll be all right.
Thanks.
We'll be good.
And that's why it's important, like, even for me, speaking of myself now, it's like the memories, gotta remember that legacy. Yeah. Because of who we are and what we do is
a big part of that. Yeah.
Seeing her in motion, like the lessons, things that are ingrained in us that we don't even realize.
Facts.
It's from that, you know what I mean? She was on her deathbed executing out stuff and on top of everything. So it's like that's what we had in front of us day in and day out. Mm-hmm. So I think when stuff gets tough for the average person, for us is like we were kind of brought up different. Yeah. And it's like no coincidence that all of us are like, we were doing a lot.
Exactly.
We all got regular jobs. We all, are entrepreneurs and all of that stuff. It's just like ingrained in us. Part of like that, probably that Jamaican stigma.
Hey, look, I'll take it. I don't even find offensive. Like, you Jamaican, you probably got 3 jobs. I'll be like, actually, I do. Yeah. How many do you have? Right. Oh, you just have one. Right. Okay. Well, cool.
Facts.
I hope that's working out for you.
And FYI, this is you're already successful. If you have one job, you are already successful. If you have no job and you're making it through with no job, you're good. You're already successful. So like, but yeah, we're built a little bit different. We naturally have like 3 or 4 jobs. Even before we had like
we had jobs.
We were what? Cutting the grass, picking up apples, gutters, washing cars, cleaning. Yeah, so we had some unofficial jobs that we weren't happy to do and proud of. But even that,
we had that go.
Right. You remember like Americans. I mean, we're Jamaicans too, but there were people like, yeah, I got allowance. Like allowance. What's that?
What's like, that?
So you're working and doing chores and getting paid for it. I remember going back to mom like, yo, people getting allowance. She's like, I'm allowing you. I'm allowing you to be in the crib.
You get allowance. Oh, you playing Sega Genesis, right?
Right. Man.
Okay. Yeah, I'm allowing you to play that.
Man, speaking of Sega, I remember like some Christmases where we would get like a lot of gifts. So we open them jumps up. Boxes, underwear, socks,
like damn,
t-shirts. We like, man, but we needed all of them.
Facts.
So it came lotion. I mean, we were wrapping all kinds of stuff. Man.
We always had what we needed.
Always had what we needed.
Always had what we needed.
And we were always taught that was the most important. like not even intentionally. I think seeing that and living that, it showed us like the value of everything.
Yeah.
Like pinching every ounce of the toothpaste out the
facts.
out the, you know what I'm saying, emptying the bottle of lotion even after it stops squirting.
Listen,
you throwing that, you know what I mean?
Cut
and it's
that
like,
thing open.
It's like you're more resourceful. You have a different type of grit, and we have that largely because of our mom, man. So she was just a special person, man. And
absolutely,
we're going to be talking about her more. You know, there's so many lessons learned, so many stuff that we can continue to share. I mean, anything else that jumped out related directly to this that you would highlight?
About mom?
Yeah, or in general with the situation and the experience that we've been through.
So I can say that, you know, it definitely changed me. I'm not as open as I once was. I won't say like closed book, but I'm a lot less openly trusting as I once was. Because I'm just not. This hurts so much to lose someone you love so much. I don't ever want to feel like that again. And it's scary because I felt myself like be more reserved, you know what I mean? In that way.
Like not trying to love too hard.
Not trying to love too hard because
of the loss.
You might go. And it's something that I still struggle with. And, you know, early on, man, it's great we're talking about this. Early on, you know, they suggested a family therapist. And, you know, we wasn't about that at the time. But later on, I took it upon myself to go and have a few sessions solo with the same therapist. And man, it was terrible. I was not ready for that, man.
Yeah.
I was not ready for that. And I don't think that, I'm going to be PC here. I don't think we matched culturally.
What you mean be PC?
Politically correct.
You already done let a cuss word. I'm already have to hit the explicit button on the podcast. You might as well.
All right. Well, I don't think I related with this white woman.
All right.
You know what I mean? I think that, you know, now therapy is something that I've flirted with for a long time, but I think, you know, I'm at a time now where I think it's something that's the next step in my evolution and maturation. I think it's only going to help because it's to a point now where I still have questions. I still struggle with certain things, and to just sit and unpack that with someone else, I think that's only going to help.
Yeah.
But
Facts.
That situation, the losing mom, definitely changed how I love. And I want to get back to that someday soon, you know what I mean? But I know that I'm not as open as I once was.
Yeah. That's real. I mean, I can see that, right? And I think there's another quote, right? I should probably be figuring out who these quotes coming from so I can get them the right credit. But there's a quote.
You can edit, put it in there.
Yeah, you know. There's a quote, and somebody was like, grief is a consequence of love, or something like that.
Yeah.
Because in order to grieve somebody that shows how much you really loved them. You're not grieving somebody that that didn't matter to you. And I think kind of what you're saying is like, if you deeply, deeply love somebody, it's tough to lose them. But what I would say also is like us kind of always thinking about alternatives to our alternatives, like that mom's mindset. Sometimes that could be detrimental, which is what I found out.
Oh, I know it could be.
Because then we avoid something that actually might benefit us tremendously, and that thing that we want to avoid doesn't actually happen. And then before you know, we missed out on the beautiful thing. So like there's that optimism that's important to balance in with it at our right time. Because again, I had to ease into that, and we're all on a kind of like our different
timetables.
So it's like, but that's really good and transparent to share, because I think I'm sure there's people out here listening to this that could 100% relate. And these are things in conversations that people don't have enough of. The different perspectives and intricacies that people don't talk about. They kind of gloss over it and move on. And when Mom passed, I realized how cold the world was.
Yeah.
Not just her job, the world.
The world.
Like, people would be like sobbing, caught up, come speak. Oh, I'm sorry. Funeral.
Then tomorrow,
next day, man, the world just keeps spinning.
It was like nothing.
The world is cold, man. It's crazy because it's like
they hired somebody before we had the obituary printed.
No. I think that was after. But the world kept turning.
Yeah.
So like, people were like, oh, even friends, close one, and it's no fault to them. Like, nobody's wrong. You know what I mean? You can't live in that space forever.
Facts.
But when you are the person that's closest to it, like we were, and then you see it, and then the day's over, and then everybody's back to normal. Taking the normal pictures. Social media is good. The job keeps spinning. Program.
Yeah.
Regular. It taught me, like, man, this is a cold world, and this world is cold, and it doesn't mean cold. Keep being cold. For me, the message I got was, this world is cold. Be the warmth in those places that need that warmth. And I think that's part of like this evolution and this conversation.
Yeah.
It's like, people need to feel more warm. And when somebody loses something, not just be there present and give them what they need. Continue to check up on them in the way that they need it. Continue to follow up. Don't just turn the page, because that ignoring that and kind of that ignorance is could be cold too to somebody that's still going through it.
Absolutely. And then, like a lot of people who I felt were extremely cold to the situation, fast forward the next year, they had lost a parent. Same way I lost a parent. And then it was me showing up and then them just really losing it, because they know how they wasn't there for when we lost. You know what I mean? And it was like, damn, I get it.
Yeah.
And it was like, I hate that you get it. Yeah. I don't want anybody to be a part of this club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
and
I'm still here.
And it's
you know
the same way we got into it, right?
Yeah.
I think about the people that lost people before, and I would be like, man, I was cold. Not I was intentionally cold. I thought I was saying and doing the right thing. Like, I think a lot of people do. Yeah. But like, when you go through it,
it's different.
Then you realize, like, damn, like, it's something different, right? And it doesn't mean it doesn't have to be a specific person. Like, it's not everybody's mom. Everybody isn't close to their mom. It's not everybody's dad. Everybody ain't close to their dad.
Yeah.
It's whoever you love deeply and you go through it with, then you're grieving that person deeper just because of that relationship. So it's whoever that person is, and when you get that, and when you experience that, unfortunately, fortunately, you learn a different perspective, or have a different perspective that's beneficial if you give it and live after that. Based off of the lessons that you learn.
Yeah.
So we could go a lot deeper. We can go a lot further. There's tons more to be discussed. This episode, we wanted to really highlight our mom. Obviously introducing y'all to my older brother as well. Most of y'all already know him anyway, but we'll get some more episodes in where we're diving in into, like, because there's a lot to dive in with you and pure poetry and what you've built during COVID, now virtual, mixing it up with heart talk. Shout out all of the different,
man.
How can we follow you? Where can we get your merch? I see we got the merch on.
Yeah. Show your shirt off.
Yeah, you gotta show the back of the shirt.
Man.
Sick.
Wow. Heart, share it.
Yeah, it's a heart.
Share your heart. Heart through your art. And it's not he art, it's heart. And the ART is capitalized because it's art through your heart. So that's the brand. Also, Pure Poetry Live is the company and the open mic. Also, we have Heart Talks, Heart Talks is where we chop it up with artists, and really it's just an in-depth convo about how artists view and see the world. And also we have Heart Sessions, which is something exclusive we've launched, and you can only access and or know about that particular event only if you're on the text community. All right. And the text community, to join the text community, all you do is text poetry to the number 202-873-9744. And that's only if you want exclusive, giveaways, early bird tickets to shows, free merch, and to know first about what's going on. That's only if you care about that stuff. So again, text poetry to 202-873-9744 and follow us everywhere but home. Instagram, Facebook, Pure Poetry Live, and that's also purepoetrylive.com. Hopefully this will be live very soon. We're working on redoing and revamping the website as well. And you can follow me everywhere at Orville The Poet, ORVILLETHE Poet, Orville The Poet on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and .com as well, orvillethepoet.com.
And at Pure Poetry too, right? DC.
Pure Poetry. If you go to Pure Poetry DC, it'll tell you to go to Pure Poetry Live.
Gotcha.
So we changed it up. It's Pure Poetry Live. We rebranded.
That's what's up. So, and then you got Pure once a month.
Yes. So, open mic, Pure Poetry Live is every first Wednesday of the month, every first Wednesday. Heart Talks is every last Monday of the month. And Heart Sessions, again, you can only get the info about that if you're part of the text community, PPL text community, Pure Poetry Live text community. And again, that number is 202-873-9744. Save it in your phone, just like a contact, because we do text back.
That's it right there. And there's plenty more. So this dude has always got something going on. It's too much to even say. He's probably missed a bunch of it. So the best thing to do is go to his social media, follow him, tap in, follow Pure Live, Pure Poetry Live, and you'll get all of the updates and the latest there. There's so much that we did not talk about. That we could go to. But that means that the part 2, we're going to focus that solely on like you, Pure, hosting, everything, and that, and those lessons learned. Because you have so many of those lessons learned and things that you've encountered throughout it that I want to share with everyone to get to their next level of success. Because we're all climbing, right? We all climbing. But as far as this episode goes, I think this was a really good conversation that was necessary.
Absolutely.
And needed. Any final comments or take that you would give or advice that you would give to anybody based on everything that we talked about?
Let yourself feel. If you've gone through trauma, like losing a parent, let yourself feel. For a while I was repressing and just would keep all those emotions like in a bottle, and it was under immense pressure. So there was a point where, if you said my name wrong, bow, boo, that'll set me off. Let yourself feel, because again, grief is the final stage of love, and remember that MOM, is an acronym I came up with. We have a Mother's Day show at Busboys and Poets Hyattsville location.
Come on, man. See, I told you I ain't shouting everything out, man.
So
when is that?
That's this Mother's Day, May 8th.
Okay, so it's coming out. So okay, yeah.
So it'll be
get this.
it'll happen today. So it's 6 to 8. Featuring KOP Fats, Backpack Jeff, and Essence. The acronym we came up with is marvelous, outstanding, magnificent, and that's what moms are. That's
definitely what mom was.
If it may not even, you and your mom right now may not even have the best relationship, but please, one of the things a lot of my friends would ask me, yo, what can I do? Even when Mother's Day comes around, they're like, yo, what can we do? And my thing always is, I've consistently said this since 2015, treat your mom good. Hug your mom. Care for your mom. Look out for your mom. Get your mom some flowers or whatever it is, that thing she likes. Get that for your mom. Really rock out and care and be there for your mom. That's how you can help us. That's how you can help me out.
Facts.
Be there, be present for your mom, because your presence is a present.
Facts. And I guess to wrap up too, what I would say is that if you know, because this is a beautiful day, and you should celebrate your mom.
Absolutely. For
those that have lost their mom, it's a tough day.
It is.
And again, it's our mom's birthday as well. So I'll probably go up to the site for like the second time. But
yeah.
If you've lost a mom and you can kind of relate to some of what we're saying, or maybe you feel differently than what we're saying, you have that right too, and that perspective is yours. So if you're dealing with loss, period, regardless of who it is, or situation, maybe you're dealing with a tough situation. What worked for me was slowing everything down. Things that I used to trip about didn't even matter anymore.
Yeah.
It was like, what am I look back at the stuff that I was like worked up on, and I'm like, oh my.
Doesn't even matter.
Stuff that affects me less now because of that perspective. But a lot of times what we're focusing on doesn't matter. And if we need to get through, like we were on edge, we just talked about it. Slow down life to the minute. Focus on getting to that next minute if you have to, right? If getting through the day, a lot of people say just get through the day. It was tough for me to get through the day. I needed to figure out how to get to the next 6 hours. And then at some moments it was like hour to hour or even minute to minute. Find that strength and encouragement in that space and celebrate like I made it from that hour to that hour, or from that day to that day.
Yeah.
Use that to know, okay, I'm still progressing. I'm still moving regardless of how it feels. And I think that's part of the message is You're Already Successful, is find that in you, not what's in your account or not what's in your wallet or not what social media is telling you is great. Find what you've already done inside you right now, and then realize I'm actually moving the ball forward.
Facts.
Despite the tragic reality that I'm dealt with in losing somebody or whatever the situation is, I'm still moving it forward because despite that situation, I'm still going. Use that success and move forward to your next thing. You're going to look back, and the bird's eye view is beautiful. But when you're in the weeds and you zoomed in, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. You're in the chapter, and you don't have the overview of the book, but you just got to keep going, and then you'll get through. So slow it down. Slow down life if you have to. Turn off your social medias and all of that stuff that might be distracting you. Celebrate the very small wins. Like, if you don't have wins, people say celebrate your wins. If you don't have wins and it's hard to scrape up a win, celebrate the very small wins. Celebrate the fact that you're still going.
You woke up
with no wins. Yeah. If you have to. And then that will empower you to keep going and give you enough to keep going. But you got to keep going. You have to keep going in order for it to be better. I never thought we would be in this place.
I told somebody that the other day. I said, bro, I didn't think I was going to smile again,
man,
much less do poetry again. I didn't see it. I was like, I'm done. This is it. I'm done. And, here we are. So, man, anyone that may see this that's struggling with loss, that's struggling with, depression, and hey, you are important. You are special. You are worthy. And you do have people that love you. You really do. Because if you check out, think about how much more hurt you're going to cause. So you can't check out. Got to be present.
and do what is important and what's necessary for you to get through.
Absolutely.
Don't let anybody else. Don't get too upset too. If I can, be transparent. Don't let those people knock you off and like enrage you, right? Because they were taking energy from me that I didn't have, because I was wanting them to operate in a way that I wanted them to operate in, and they were good, and it was costing me grief. One last message too to family members, right? So I got family that were upset. We got family, right, that was upset because my mom, when she was sick, they were like, man, I didn't know, and I wanted to be there and get close to her. I was like, look, I understand and could respect and appreciate that. These were her wishes. Okay? So if you're a family and you're watching this, I'll say it again. These were her wishes. I know you feel how you feel, but ultimately, those that understand that, they get it and we're good, right? Those that still challenge that, then they're rubbing.
I don't even got no words.
You're rubbing a space that you don't want to rub. So what I would say is, it was her wishes. We respected those. Please also respect those. If you don't respect those, then that's on you. But in a positive note,
you better cut my mic off.
Yeah, not to end it that way. I had to just throw that out there too. But on a positive note, right? We do what's important for you to get through. Don't go extreme and do anything that's going to be detrimental.
Yeah.
But like, if you need to vent, if you need to like separate yourself, don't let anybody let you feel like that's wrong, like I was doing, right? Don't let anybody feel like that. Do what you need to do for you. If you need to be around people and more people, and you need to hang out and you always with your friends, do that. Do what you need to get through, because most important in that equation is you, and you gotta get through. You will get through your situation. Not just if you didn't lose somebody, whatever situation you're faced with. I love you, bro.
Love you too, man.
This is this talk. Yeah, right when you was talking, you like yoked me up, and I was like, "Hold up, bro! I know you was in it." But man, it was a great conversation, man. Hopefully, y'all benefited from it. Continue download, like, subscribe to the podcast, follow my brother. That's a wrap. Like, tap, subscribe, share.
Subscribe.
Come back.
Share with your homie.
She juggle kids, groceries, and dry cleaning, she be magician. How she hold baby, fold clothes, and do dishes. How she read, clean, and check homework. And when bellies get the rumbling, she show you how the stove work. You misbehave, you get to see how the belt work. Make work 9 to 5 seem easy like breathing. And still find time to surprise her boys every single season. That's my mama. Mama. Looking daunting, task straight, bold face in the eye. Tired as ever, frustrated but never cry. Hardships never cry. And even when relationships sank with everyone aboard, she never died. Her battle cry, be junior, God don't give you no more than you can bear. Spin that early Langston Hughes in my ear. See, life ain't no crystal stare, but with her crystal glare, made me always feel important. Told me young I was a king and walked like one, and eventually a queen would coming out of dormants to my crown. Always smiling, smiling, seldom frown. She'd be amazing and hospitable as long as my homework was finished. She kept me reading and told me good grades on my business. I witnessed her not eat or sleep for 24 hours, full time at work and school, then coming home to a Ninja Turtle / Ghostbusters feud. And even though she was super tired, she'd scream aloud and put all doubt to rest. Y'all know Power Rangers rule. Not knowing she was training Rangers how to tap into the power God gave them at all stages, giving advice. In her last days, she said, Junior, make sure you find a wife for the rest of my life. I vow to make her proud. That's my mama, 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 dear mama, 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 dear mama.
She always been beside you, been with me till the end. You are more than my mama, you are my best friend, dear mama, 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 dear mama. She always been beside you, been with me till the end. You are more than my mama, you are my best friend, dear mama, 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 dear mama. You always been beside you, been with me till the end. You are more than my mama, you are my best friend, dear mama, mama, mama.